I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents.
Some future priests take an important step.
It was just a sense of laying down my life for the church and for Christ, and rising up as a new person in Jesus Christ.
How you can pitch in to make it a Merry Christmas for local families.
We are in need of toys, we are in need of cash donations and volunteers.
And moonlight, music, masquerade, and leadership. A youth group celebrates 20 years in the diocese. Well, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Well, the Year for Priests is not only a time to recognize the service of men who have dedicated their lives to this vocation, it's also a chance to encourage new vocations.
So where will our next priest even come from? Well, we had the chance to find out yesterday when 5 men who this time next year will be priests took the next step in their journey.
They were ordained as deacons, and we were there at the Seminary of the Immaculate Conception on Huntington, Long Island.
It's just a great day of joy for our 2 dioceses, Brooklyn and Rockville Center, here at the Seminary of the Immaculate Conception on the Feast Day of the Immaculate Conception.
All 5 are headed for the priesthood, please God, next year, mostly probably in June or May.
May God who has begun the good work in you bring it to fulfillment.
A lot was going through my mind. The most emotional part of the service for me today was the Litany of Saints, when each of us prostrated on the floor of the seminary and we asked for the intercession of the saints to pray for us. It was just a sense of laying down my life for the church and for Christ, and rising up as a new person in Jesus Christ. So it really was that was the most emotional moment for me.
I woke up this morning as a layman, but now I become a clergyman. I am part of the clergy of the Universal Church.
I know that they're ready for this day. In terms of level of commitment, they've really given their lives now to the Lord in His service.
It's indescribable when you're up there and you're a sacramental minister for the first time. I was just in awe of what I was doing. I couldn't believe that I was holding the chalice, the precious blood in my hand. It was just really an awe-inspiring moment for me. I thought of John Paul II throughout this entire celebration. Be not afraid. Be not afraid to answer the call that Jesus Christ has given you.
In the world today, we have a lot of challenges.
I'm 26 years old, and it's a challenge getting young adults back into the faith, back to practicing their faith.
There are plenty of opportunities to serve the Lord in many ways, and everybody's going to do it a bit differently. So I think that's one of the beautiful things today, that we see an initiative that everybody's talents can be used in some way.
Through Christ our Lord.
And I will invite every young man to think about priesthood, because God calls us today.
Exciting, it doesn't do it justice, how excited I feel, and I think we all feel.
I'm impressed. I think we've got very good men. They're very sincere. They are intelligent. They should make good priests.
All the parishioners here, everybody, even you are all my family, and I am happy for that.
Well, the 2 men that you met in that piece, Deacons Alonzo Cox and Nixon Jean-Francois, will be ordained next year as priests for the Brooklyn Diocese. The 3 others will serve the Diocese of Rockville Center on Long Island.
So cool. And Alonzo has actually been in the studio here for an interview before. A great, nice, upstanding young man. So nice to see him ordained a deacon now.
Yeah, 26 years old, getting, maturing in their faith and continuing along that path. And it's nice that it can happen for them during this Year for Priests.
Yeah, it's a great time for it. And it's amazing the different stories that you hear from different people, because Alonzo, I remember, had said that I think for as long as he could remember, he had always felt the calling to be a priest. But for so many, it's kind of a struggle. So you have different stories and different ways that people come into the priesthood. So it's amazing.
And that's why we did that piece the other day, I don't know, probably about a month ago, about sort of that house where someone can stay for, you know, a year or whatever to sort of discern whether or not they feel as though they're really being called and, you know, sort of separate from their family, separate from, you know, the people that they would otherwise perhaps be associating with. So they can really focus on making that really key decision.
Yeah, the House of Discernment there. Great resource to have for young men in the diocese. Well, there's more current straight ahead when we return. The day's headlines, including the Senate's vote on abortion funding.
And they've made Brooklyn and Queens better places. The diocese recognizes the work of 2 local men. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. In just a bit, Dancing in the Moonlight. It's more than just the title of a hit song from the 70s. It actually happened in a parish in Jamaica, Queens recently, and we'll take you there.
Very nice. But first, let's take a look at the day's headlines. A controversial amendment to the health reform bill has been defeated. The Senate rejected an amendment yesterday that would have tightened restrictions on federal funding of abortion. The measure was struck down on a 54-45 vote, and it was similar to the Stupak amendment, which passed in the House. It would have prevented taxpayer dollars from paying for insurance plans that cover abortion, except in the cases of rape, incest, or danger to a mother's life. Now that the amendment has failed, leaders of the U.S. Bishops' Conference are urging Catholics to voice their opposition to the health reform bill. The prominent pro-life group, the National Right to Life Committee, is also voicing opposition, saying the entire bill should be defeated. Meantime, a new report shows more than 2/3 of abortion clinics in the U.S. have shut their doors since 1991. The report from the pro-life activist organization Operation Rescue says there are about 700 abortion clinics operating in the country today. That is down from more than 2,000 in 1991. Operation Rescue President Troy Newman credits the pro-life movement with, as he puts it, making significant strides exposing and closing abortion clinics and shifting public opinion toward the pro-life position. Well, Pope Benedict has some choice words for the media. In his address on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception yesterday, the Pope said mass media sensationalism of the news is not good for society and causes us to become desensitized to evil. Benedict went on to say media can make us feel like spectators, as if evil only touched others and that certain things could not happen to us. He says instead that we should all work to become better people, keeping in mind that our behavior influences others.
Well, several Christian leaders are speaking out against a proposed anti-gay law in the African country of Uganda. The bill calls for imprisonment of gays and lesbians and the death penalty for some homosexual behavior. A statement released this week, signed by dozens of religious leaders, says, as followers of the teachings of Christ, we must express profound dismay at the bill currently before the parliament in Uganda. The leaders also say that violence and unjust treatment of anyone are against mainstream Christian belief. The statement was released by the organizations Faith in Public Life and Catholics in Alliance for the Common Good. Well, 3 new Christian-themed funds made their debut on the New York Stock Exchange today. The funds are from a group called Faith Shares Trust and are designed to attract Christians that are looking for investments that do not conflict with the tenets of their faith. The Catholic Values Fund, Methodist Values Fund, and Christian Values Fund all opened this morning, trading at $25 a share. Well, some Christmas cheer is on the way for some homeless New Yorkers. The city has announced it is reopening many faith-based shelters it closed last year. The New York Daily News reports 8 of those church-based shelters are set to be reopened in Queens. The city says the shelters were initially shut down in order to streamline homeless services. Homeless advocates have since been lobbying for the shelters to be reopened, and some of those activists say the city is reopening the shelters because leaders simply recognized people need the beds. Well, one person who has been working to give the poor a place to live was among the honorees earlier this week at the annual Bishop's Testimonial Dinner. Catholic Charities of Brooklyn and Queens sponsored the event at Steiner Studios in Brooklyn, and our cameras were there.
here tonight for the annual dinner for Catholic Charities. This dinner usually is aimed at the community that helps with the housing. As you know, Catholic Charities has a major housing commitment, and tonight is the night where we gather the people who are involved with housing and the related services. We honor them, and actually it's a fundraising dinner.
This is an annual event for Catholic Charities, and it's an event to really raise money for the work that we do throughout the diocese. And at no point in our history, I think, that we really have faced great stress and greater demand than right now.
One of the honorees is called Mr. Resnick. He is a developer that has helped with moderate and low-income housing, which is truly a need in our community.
Myself and my firm have been involved in affordable housing since the inception of our firm. It is something that has, over the time, built up a passion in me, because I realize that without people having a safe place to live that they can count on, how can we expect them to move forward with their children, with their parents, and feel safe?
Monsignor Kuttner is one of our pastors on the verge of retirement, but he has in the past been very helpful in community development and organizing in his area, working in an area where there are a lot of people in need of assistance.
I'm a priest for 45 years, priest of the diocese. Have been pastor in 3 different parishes, and also have worked in the diocesan tribunal.
Well, Catholic Charities has about 73 different sites throughout Brooklyn and Queens. We work very closely with all of our parishes through our community project directors, and we have site in Astoria and in Hollis and in downtown Brooklyn, and also workers located in many of the parishes in other parts of Brooklyn. So a call to Catholic Charities will get you a response and a partner in trying to solve what it is you're facing.
Well, stay tuned. There's more currents coming up straight ahead.
Welcome back. Well, tonight we continue our series on alternative Christmas gifts, ways that you can give to others this season and make an impression that will last long after you've thrown out the fruitcake and dragged that tree to the curb.
Who eats fruitcake anyway?
Not me.
I just want to know that.
Pumpkin pie, yes. Fruitcake, no.
Right. Anyway, I digress. I recently had a chance to sit down and chat with someone who spends his life trying to help people in need. And he has some great suggestions on ways that you can do that too. He's a familiar face here on Currents. He's Anthony Butler from the Brooklyn food pantry, Bread and Life. Well, joining us now is Anthony Butler of St. John's Bread and Life. Thank you so much for being here.
That's my pleasure.
We appreciate it very much. Now, first of all, for folks who might not be familiar, tell us what St. John's Bread and Life is and what you do.
St. John's Bread and Life is an emergency feeding program that has a soup kitchen, a mobile soup kitchen, and a food pantry. Last year we served over 400,000 meals. Wow. Respond to emergency food. We also have a full range of social services. We have medical services on site, legal services on site food stamp application, grief and counseling services, and various other social services, with the whole tenet of meeting people's emergency food needs and then working to get them off the need for emergency food.
Okay, well, of course, this time of year is one where I'm sure you get very busy.
We do.
What are you doing during this Christmas season?
This Christmas season, we're doing our annual, what we call Sponsor a Family. On top of our regular work, we provide a Christmas meal and age-appropriate toys to 2,000 families.
Wow. Oh, well, very good. Now, of course, this year, I would imagine with the economic situation, have you seen the numbers of people coming to you for help? Have you seen those go up?
Significant increase. We've seen a 28% increase in our soup kitchen and our mobile soup kitchen, and a 50% increase in our food pantry. Food pantry is groceries that people take home. That's a direct result of people getting laid off.
Wow.
That's the formerly working, if you will, our largest growing group.
Wow. So maybe on the other side of that, I guess folks are kind of tightening the purse strings as well. Do you find it a little bit more difficult to get people to come along and help you guys out? Have you found it more of a struggle?
We have the fundraising is very much a struggle. We're supported 89% privately, so it's a continual struggle. People have been generous. The difficulty is keeping up kind of pace with the demand.
Right, right. I can imagine, because as you know, the economy, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because on the one hand you've got more people that need the help, but you've got less people that are able to help at the same time. So, Well, how can people help out? How can folks give to this effort during the holidays?
One of the easiest ways is we are in need of toys, we are in need of cash donations, and volunteers. They can all be accessed through our website, www.breadandlife.org. And those three ways help us make at least the Christmas program better for these folks.
Right.
It's a significant undertaking. It's about a $60,000-$65,000 endeavor.
Right.
To provide these Christmas meals and toys.
Cool. Well, as far as those three elements that you just mentioned, toys. Any specific kind of toys? You're looking for all different kinds, or
we are looking for all different kinds from age 1 to age. Let me get this right, age 13.
Right.
The 14, 15, 16-year-olds we give movie tickets to because they're impossible to buy for.
Of course.
And we can't afford iPods and whatnot, or PlayStations and things like that. So yes, though we would ask that people could contact us because we could kind of steer them in terms of the donations we need. And they have to be new toys.
Okay, all right, very good, very good. Of course, cash donations, that kind of speaks for itself.
Right, and one of the things we've done this year, we used a lot of technology, and because our big focus is on the dignity of folks, we've worked out a system where parents can choose their toys ahead of time for their children. They pre-register off of touchscreen technology we use.
Sure.
So the cash helps us to pay for those things we've pre-bought.
Okay, great. And then, of course, volunteers you mentioned
Volunteers,
as well.
very much so. We have a big day on the 12th of December and 13th of December, and also on the 18th the 19th and 20th of December. We're in need of significant volunteers, both to assemble the Christmas packages and to distribute them.
Okay.
And that can be, all that stuff can be found on our website.
Okay, great. And we'll, of course, link up to that on our website as well.
Great.
Give folks some more information there. Now, the need doesn't end, of course, with the holiday season.
Yeah.
How can people help, I guess, year-round? What are some other things?
Year-round, food drives we're always in need of. Once again, cash donations. They're very similar, volunteers. And all volunteers particularly to help kind of doing the serving of the food and stuff, but also professional volunteers. We have lawyers who come, and I think it's always better when a lawyer comes, they can use their legal skills as opposed to serving pancakes or something.
Yeah.
So people can bring their professional skills. We take school group volunteers from elementary school up. We have large partnerships with various Catholic schools in the diocese.
Sure, okay.
And those are very important ways.
Well, very good. Okay, great. Now, the website one more time.
www.breadandlife.org. That's BREADANDLIFE.org.
Okay. Well, Anthony, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Great. Thank you
so much.
And tomorrow we'll meet a priest who's an artist and a visual artist, actually, and we'll learn how he's using his talent to help the people of Guatemala. This is very interesting. But for now, stay with us as Currents continues.
We try to educate primarily the age of 14 to 21 in the way of the Catholic life.
And finally tonight we end with Kujenga.
What?
I'll explain it. All right. It's not to be confused with Jumanji or Cowabunga, which is from what?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Very good.
Michelangelo,
Ding, 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 ding.
the one who wore orange and had the nunchucks.
Okay.
I know because I grew up with it.
Here I am thinking about the Sistine Chapel. Anyway, let's go back to Kujenga. It is Swahili for build, and it's also a youth program of the Vicariate for Black Catholic Concerns right here in Brooklyn.
Cool. Well, they held a party this weekend at St. Matthew's School in Crown Heights. It's a moonlight masquerade party. We were curious to find out what Kujenga is all about. So, Currents donned a mask and dropped by.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to build leadership skills in our youth. Okay, we want them to become leaders in their communities. We want them to become leaders with their peers. We want them to have the self-confidence to know that they can achieve whatever they want. We want them to take initiatives within the community.
We try to educate the people around us, primarily the youth, primarily the age of 14 to 21, in the way of the Catholic life. We try to do fundraisers such as this tonight as a ballroom type masquerade party to raise efforts to help pay for students or children who can't usually pay for their own way to the Kujenga retreat that's usually held during the summer.
Well, Kujenga is a Swahili word for build, and it's a leadership program where we have every weekend a Kujenga leadership program, every one weekend every summer in July, for the young people to explore their Catholic identity, also their heritage of being Black Catholics, and they go away for the weekend and learn different leadership skills for that weekend, and also learn about their own culture within itself. Why a masquerade party? The masquerade party really came from the youths. That's one of the things they wanted. It was a divided vote. Some wanted to have a 70s party, and others wanted a masquerade party. And then we finally voted on it, and the masquerade party was the one that won.
It's an important event because it shows that our youth, that we care about them, that we value their opinions, that we know that they are the future of the church, that they're the future of the community, and that they have a lot to offer. So we organize these things to try to keep them actively involved.
I'm having fun. I'm with my friends and I'm with my fellow Kajengans. It's good to feel, because you never see like Black Catholics. You only think that your church is the only church, as closed-minded as it sounds. But when you see other Black Catholics, also leaders, young leaders coming together and working on different solutions to make things better for the church and ensuring that our church falls into the right hands, and knowing that we have leaders to take on the Catholic Church, that's a big deal, especially for me.
It's a positive reaction upon us because we get to meet with people that don't have the same mindset as you. We get to mold and create their own mindset. You get to help them with their life, as well as you get to help them with yours. You get to open other doors that you don't readily have accessibility to on a regular basis. There's so much negative influence outside in music, in the media, on a regular day-to-day basis, with things that you do, things that you don't even notice on the subconscious level, like cursing, hanging out in street corners. What we try to do here is try to bring off the street corners and bring you closer to God. So we try to take that and try to create a community of young, positive people to influence everybody else. This is the beginning.
That's so much fun. I want my mask now to put on.
I know. We didn't have any of the videographers bring them back. That's no fair.
I know. We should have thought of that. Oh, well.
It's okay. Props are always good on set. But it's nice they've been around for 20 years and still going strong.
Right.
And really a nice opportunity to not just to get to there for the holidays for them, but just in general.
Exactly. Well, it's the season for parties, and you know, this one didn't have anything specifically to do with the holidays, but it is the season for parties, and they're definitely getting into the holiday spirit there.
You having any?
Right. Well, actually, last weekend I went to a party at a friend's house that was cookies and carols, we called it. So everybody brought like cookies or a dessert or something, and we gathered around and sang carols and stuff, and the neighbors didn't even come by and knock on the door or anything saying we were too loud. So a good time was had by all.
You weren't too rowdy carolers. That's good.
Right.
I actually got an invitation yesterday for a Christmas party that was for people that were working but whose companies couldn't afford to have their own parties.
Yeah.
So that I thought was kind of interesting. There's
neat.
just sort of a group party for all the Christmas party orphans out there.
Right, yeah, and especially, well, this year, you know, with the economic concerns and everything, that's a good thing to have.
But we do have one coming up here at the Net.
Yes, we do.
In about 2 weeks, I think, and the bishop is doing something next week as
Right.
well, so we'll be around for that. So we'll have our fruitcake or not.
Plenty of food and fun for all. Maybe
That's
no
right.
fruitcake for me. Well, that's it for this edition of Currents. Now, coming up tomorrow, remembering a television pioneer. He really laid the groundwork for what we do right here and revolutionized the way the gospel is spread. We'll take you to a memorial mass for Archbishop Fulton Sheen.
And meantime, you can always catch us online at currentsny.net. And also, you can become our friend or our fan on Facebook. Just visit facebook.com/currentsny. And we'll have all the latest news, and we'll keep you posted on what we're doing. And we also post our videos there in case you missed a show.
Right, so you can see it all. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Have a great night. Because we didn't. Whoop, I hear whoops. I hear whoops.